All right, guys. All right, guys. We are 1 minute out from going live. Share it around. Let's get some attendance in this one and help us out. And see you in 1 minute. And there we are. And another one, another one, another one. All
Another.
right, here we
And
are for another reefing
another one.
report. What's up, Mark?
Yeah. I've been told to bring the energy tonight. So, we got to bring it. We got to step it up. We got to bring it. So, with that, thanks everyone for being with us on a Sunday evening. There's, it's Sunday. For some of you, that means you're getting ready to go out to the lake. You've been at the lake like yours truly. It's getting to be that season where maybe you forget about your saltwater tank, but hopefully not. We'll talk about some ways to kick off the show tonight about ways you can kind of extend your vacation or vacation saver, as Terrence said. But we got a big show tonight, including some people who broke the law and got busted. So we'll talk about that as well. And then some captive rearing of fish that we'll see if it's really worth it. So we got a great show tonight. Thanks for being with us. But Terrence, did you upgrade your tank?
Yeah, look at this new tank behind me, buddy. Full of life. Full of life.
I see a lot of flow. I'm assuming that this isn't your tank.
This is not my tank. We are still on the road. We are still out in the RV. And I would be broadcasting from the RV if the RV where I was had some actual bandwidth that I could use. But it didn't. So I called in a favor from our good friend, Steve, over at Sicce, who were kind of just around the corner, about 25 minutes away, and said, hey, I need bandwidth. Can you help out? And Steve very kindly said, yes, I will come in on Sunday for you, only for you, and you can shoot your show here at the Sicce, United States headquarters of the Whale.
The Whale. There you go. So we owe a favor to Steve. So we'll have to figure out what that is. I mean, I don't think fish food is going to do it for him. Maybe some alcohol with that. But
I already paid that forward. I paid that forward for him at Reefapalooza with some good alcoholic beverage. So there you go.
Well, it won't hurt to do. Antonio wants to see the office tank at Sicce. I think they want you to move your melon, Terrence.
Yeah. Okay. There. Let's see if it's not going to come into focus. Oh, there it goes.
Oh, there it goes. I see. Where are the fish? There goes the fish. Look, their flame angel is showing off for you. There's something else underneath there hiding now.
Yeah, wow. It looks like they've got the world's most beautiful fish, the pajama cardinal, in there.
Hey, you have pajama cardinals.
No, I don't. I do not have pajama cardinals. I have Bangai cardinals.
Ah, good. I'm glad to see you're saying we're fine, Terrence. Hey, you don't have a drink in your hand tonight. You're not drinking anything?
Wendy's tonight is what's on. I didn't have time to get it going. We're not in, and Steve's not set up over in here, evidently. I mean, he's not like Mr. Tate in Bewitched with the bar in his office. That you could just anyway. Cultural references for old people. You never watched Bewitched, ever?
No, okay. Sorry.
Well, there you go.
No, I mean, let's put it this way. When I was growing up, the only TV show I was allowed to watch was The Golden Girls.
Oof, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah,
All right.
explains a
Well,
lot.
what do we got on the list for tonight, man? What do we got on the
Well,
list?
since you're at Sicce's headquarters there, our friends over at Avast Marine, kind of the DIY turned into a career and a business with their Avast Marine Plank. For those of you that don't know, that is a not frozen food feeder. It is a freeze-dried food feeder. So they have their own food called reef jerky, which is a mix of a lot of things. There you go. It has freeze-dried mysis in there, plankton stuff. And the catch is, this is fun because Terrence was looking at it before the show like, I don't get it. How does this work? So the way it works is there's a piece that goes down into the tank. Pipe looks like this. And then there's a piece that sits on top, a barrel, kind of like this. And this guy has a little auger in it, and this turns the food, drops it down into the pipe. And then there used to be a cheapy Chinese no-name pump. Oh, there's the barrel that sits on top that spun the water around, got the food to rehydrate, and then kicked it out. But now they have an upgrade. They have a new version. It has an upgrade as well. We'll talk about that just in a minute. That uses a Sicce pump, which is a nice thing to see. So that being said, if you ever want to leave your tank or you're going out of town for a while, I still recommend you have a fish sitter, have someone come by and just look over stuff. But the plank is a great way to bridge the gap. I still like people to feed frozen every couple of days, even if they're out of town. But the plank is a way to get your fish to feed off a automatic feeder besides pellet. Now, Terrence, let's have some fun with this because part of the show is to go back and forth and kind of poke at each other, if we will. Terrence was saying, well, my fish eat pellets or they eat frozen. So why do I need this freeze-dried food feeder?
Yeah. So whenever I look at a product, I've seen lots of cool things, lots of things I might even own, but I then immediately go into kind of product guy mode and go, could this be a product, right? That's, I mean, really a product that can sell a lot of something. Why would somebody need this thing? Why does it matter, right? Because to me, it just looks like a fish feeder, right? Like one of many, like the
Sure.
AFS from Neptune or
Yeah.
any others. It spits out food. And then you explain that, well, no, it's not made for pellet food. It's made for reef jerky, which is really just freeze-dried krill and probably other things that are ground up in
Nice.
here. And for me, I just was like, okay, who wants to feed this? And like, I guess I could feed it on vacation. And then the problem, I guess, is because it floats, you can't just put it in an auto feeder and drop it in your tank. But I was thinking, why? I just looked at the consistency of this, and I was like, man, why couldn't I just open up the thing on the AFS, have a tube in my tank, and just spin it around? It's going to rehydrate and drop into the tank eventually, right?
Eventually, but you don't know how long that takes. And it's also that like maybe the big aggressive feeders in your tank go up into the tube and eat it and don't leave anything for everyone else. With the pump that reconstitutes it, it also spits it out. So I found that the aggressive eaters like the Antheus swarm and they get the top stuff and the big stuff that goes by, then the tangs can get that because they can't get their snout up in the tube to eat the stuff. So my fish, I also, let me back up a minute and say, I don't just use this as something for when I'm out of town. I have one on my tank behind me, driven by the Apex, and it feeds 3 times a day. So
Okay.
it feeds 3 times. I feed nori once and I feed frozen. So my fish get fed at least 5 times a day. And it's really great for
You
the
don't want to know how
Antheus.
often my fish get fed. That's,
No, I know.
but but uh, but the reality is this stuff really that great, that much better than a properly constituted, properly made, let's say, pellet from Otahimi or whatever it's called? Uh, is it really that much better for the fish? Or is it like just because some fish are not going to even eat the best pellets?
So in terms of nutrition wise, not sure. I know one thing that I've heard about pellets is a lot of times it contains a wheat product, which is not good for fish. I don't know
Right.
if that's true. I haven't researched it, but I have heard that from
So yeah,
people that I
get
trust.
crappy pellets. Yes, they will have bad
Yep.
stuff in them. Yes.
And even if you put a feeding ring, which I recommend you do, like with an
Hmm.
AFS, so you drop the pellets into the ring, the aggressive eaters in the tank will go up there and eat the pellets, and then maybe a couple falls out, and then everyone else gets it. With the pump in there, it spits it out. So
I
you get
see.
some that misses the aggressive feeders, and you get a better chance of it than blowing out in your tank, and everyone else gets it.
Okay. And the real news here, though, is this basically this pump is now with it, and it's hooked up, I guess, inside here, or where does the pump go?
It sits in a little, I always say bracket for lack of better terms, down in the tube.
This thing?
Yep. Nope. That's the top. That's what the barrel sits down at the top. So there's a little
Okay.
bracket that goes down in there that it sits in. That's actually pretty cool. It like is made in such a way that it pumps water in and kicks water out. So before
Okay.
the old version had some no-name Chinese pump, and I looked at it and it's like I could run this 24/7, but I was like, at some point it's going to die. So I
I
actually
think
use
that's
the
this thing
Apex
in
to
here,
keep it
isn't
going
it?
up.
That little thing inside there?
Yep. The pump sits down in there. Yep.
Yeah. And you
Exactly.
basically jam it up
Yep.
into that thing, and then the wire goes down, it sits in it, basically just shoots water up in there and spins it around. Okay. All right.
Right.
You know, not
So there's the
convinced.
other piece of you should take one. I'll talk to the Avast guys. I'll have you send you one because I know you love products to review or check out, Terrence, especially with your new YouTube channel. So,
Oh, well, thank you for the plug, by
well,
the way.
yeah, absolutely.
I am
The other
dropping
thing that
a new video at Real Reefing on YouTube and Instagram, Real Dot Reefing. But so this basically just is an on-off, and so you set up, an OSC statement or something on your Apex to turn it on for 3 seconds, and then it's off for 3 hours or whatever. Okay, all right.
mine runs at certain times a day because then it's really fun because I watch the fish come up there. Like it's Pavlov's response, right? A couple minutes before it runs,
Sure.
they're all like,
Yeah, people always,
yep.
complained about the AFS being loud, which it is loud. But the I always would tell them the upside is your fish know they're about to get fed because they can hear it going, yeah, 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 and then right,
Well,
absolutely.
the other thing that I think is cool with this is that I have the Avast Plank 1.0, and they sent out an email to everyone and said, hey, now there's a 2.0, but it wasn't like, are you going to buy the whole thing or not? They said, hey, there's an upgrade path. So it's not like I'm dead in the water. So it's a cool way to make the existing product better without having to replace the whole thing. So I always like it when companies do that. I thought that was really cool.
I don't know where the plank is though. I don't see a plank in here. I think of walk the plank, the whole pirate
Yeah.
thing. So, and there used to be. I was at Frost.
Everything Avast Frost.
I was at Frost Museum, and they used to have a thing that was a food plank thing. It was like a conveyor belt, and you stick your food on the conveyor belt, and it just all day long slowly drops food into the tank.
Oh.
That
Well,
looked like a
everything
plank.
Avast Marine is pirate themed.
Oh, I know. Yes.
So
They even
yeah, so the
they even
plank is.
gave. So if you buy it, you get this cool little sticker thing too. Just so you know.
Oh, I didn't get stickers. I got, and there's a mermaid, but she's got shells on. Okay, that's all right. It's PG. That's all right.
Hey, we don't want to get this flagged. We don't want our stream to be flagged here, buddy. Okay,
That's right.
so that's the Avast. Thank you, Sicce, for letting us have me here with all of the bandwidth that I need. What else is in the news, Mark?
So we're talking about feeding fish,
Okay.
and there's some people have said, like, by the time since we've gotten better at feeding fish, now we have fish that didn't spawn in captivity before, like the angels. Like a lot of that was associated to the food. But I think one thing that a lot of people miss with captive bred fish is that it's not always is it captive reared or is it captive bred or is it aquacultured. So sometimes they just go out in the ocean and they get the larvae and then they bring it back and they raise it, which I'm not digging that. Like there's some skill in that, and that takes some effort to raise larvae. Certainly in this case, the frogfish, they went out and they got this mass of larvae that I believe was 80 miles offshore of Oahu.
Right.
They like this gelatinous mass. So I don't know how did they just get lucky? Did they track it? But then they got it, but then they brought it back, kept it alive, and they reared the fish, which that's not necessarily bad. The thought to me is in a sustainable, repeatable type of model,
right?
You're going to want, like, how often do you maybe get lucky, or how often can you go out there and grab a gelatinous mass?
Well, the problem is it doesn't make it a business that is like a sustainable business. I tried to link to your link there, and it wasn't coming through. So I don't know if your link got jacked or something, but you can check it out on your side, and then I can click through to it. Um, the thing is, if you're going to make this stuff stick for our hobby, right? If it's going to be a thing that people can count on and stores can count on and everything, you can't have stuff come and go, right? Let me see if I can get that link. It's got to be something that's repeatable. I know, but I got to find all my stuff, and you know how it is.
Like posting a link on a Reefing Report. It's got to be repeatable.
Yes, exactly. They're like, okay, we're dropping off the stream now. Okay, where's Mark's thing? Let's copy that. Let's go over here and let's paste. Let's see if I can get there. So the thing is I was actually at Biota down here, and they've had some fish in the past that Jake there was explaining to me that they've been able to rear, or they were able to obtain, larvae, or they got lucky with this or that, and they'd get 7 of these fish in, or 26 of these fish, or whatever it may be. And it's all well and good, but if it's not repeatable for their customers to wholesale it out to their customers, or even out in direct to consumer model, if it's not something that's repeatable, it is not something that we can then hold a big banner up and say, "Yay, look at us!" Right? And you could go out and get lots of these gelatinous masses. You could just drag, those cone shaped nets out there, and then throw them in a big vat and throw a bunch of different kinds of foods at it and see what stuff goes through different stages of development and see what comes out of it. But that really doesn't, I think, put the progress along. The progress is on things like was done with the Oceanic Institute or what have you, with the yellow tangs, right, in Hawaii, where you refine the process. It's still broken. You still have fish that aren't quite like you'd like them to be. So you go back and kind of tweak things until you get to where you can have a consumer fish that's readily available, and available in the thousands or the tens of thousands of fish. And that's really some of that stuff that's happening. I mean, for a lot of us, it's not happening fast enough. It's not happening with enough species that, we'd like it to, especially some that are the lower cost ones, because it doesn't become as great an economic model. But that's where we need to see the advances, in my opinion.
I agree.
Besides, how many frogfish get sold, right? I mean,
the other piece of this, which I think they talked about in the article, was most frogfish, if they get sizable, well, let me back up. Any frogfish is going to try to eat pretty much anything they think they can put in their mouth.
Yep.
And I've seen videos of frogfish eating like sailfin tang. So they're really great in a small, like nano
solitary.
Tank, like
they're usually.
Yep. You get the little. Yep. Then you can throw fish at them that you want to get eaten, not your nice fish.
Right. But you know what? They are cute as hell as babies, right?
Yep.
I mean,
and they're fun.
Absolutely.
Like they just sit there. They're like, and then you put something in front of them and they bam, and you're like, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, and when you put something in there, if you blink, you won't see it get eaten. That's how fast they eat stuff in a tank. So yeah, if you have like a little nano or pico tank and you can have one of these in it, it's great. But this is definitely not a yellow tang. It's not a mandarin, right? It's not those kinds of fish.
Right.
Like
and it's
a clownfish.
Well, and then so it's progress, and the clownfish have always been like we've reared those forever. We've captive bred them pretty much on demand.
Correct.
And now there's the lightning maroon clown, which back 10 years ago, I remember like the
10?
first one sold for like 10.
Matt
maybe
Peterson.
More.
So it was Matt Peterson's project where he obtained the. I guess the first one, and then another one to breed with it. I don't know all the details. Mark would, I'm sure, correct a lot of this story for me, but ultimately got it to where they could have second and third generations of the lightning clownfish. But there was a new fish out called the chain link clownfish. Did you see this?
I'm looking at it, and I mean, so the first thing that comes to my mind is like, it's cool that we're finding these in the ocean. Like it wasn't just a one-off.
Right.
So there's got to be some amount of them that you happen to find and collect them. I mean, it's coming from Golden Ocean, which has potentially a little bit of a reputation there. So is it another
a reputation? Whoa. They have a reputation for what?
I
You
mean,
can't be on
there's
this program and say this company has a reputation and then go, let me move on now.
so let me back up. Let's not say reputation. There's been things that have been passed around like net caught, net, uh, net captive. No, back up. Catching fish, collecting fish via nets. We talked about this a couple months ago in the
Yeah, we
Reefing
did.
Report. But
Yeah,
there's a picture of people like waving, and that's it. Like there's no video footage or pictures of anyone collecting fish in the ocean with nets. So it's like, and it happened like 5 years
right,
ago, and so it's
right,
kind of like, well, show me more. Like if you're
right.
waving this flag, which is great, but like show me where's the beef? Speaking of Wendy's, where's
Wendy's.
the beef?
Nice callback there, buddy. I like it.
I remember that one.
So what?
um, so
What's the deal with this company then?
I mean, for me, it's like okay, like they
Spit it
have
out.
net collection, but you don't see it. So I'm always like,
Oh, it's one
okay,
of those companies. So that's what you're
yeah.
saying.
You're
Okay.
like, okay. I mean, I'm not
Because this isn't
like,
the same company that we talked about last time. This is a different company.
well, that hasn't I haven't quite nailed that down. It's like they changed their name. It used to be
Oh,
RVS Fish World.
right.
Is it RVS Collect them and then they're exporting them? So it's like it's just a little like there's some like gray area there, and you're kind of like,
Man, I'd love to have
type
somebody
of
else
thing.
that has a little more information on this because it sounds juicy to me. Anyway,
I can tell
they.
you someone offline. So they have this another
uh
lightning chain link
huh.
fish. So look, the first thing is like, okay, where did it come from? But again, I'm like, there's got to be a lot of them out there for you to happen across one that you can collect and take a picture of, which is cool. Like, so they're out
Sure.
there. Maybe they find out where they are, collected, which is neato. They can repeat that, going back to what we talked about earlier. But is this just, a lot of people beat up coral sellers like, oh, you took this coral and you renamed it to some flashy name so you can charge more.
Right.
Do they
That's what
know
I
the
was getting at.
lightning
Yeah.
maroon clownfish is dead? So now they're going to call it chain link to try to make it new and
Yeah.
exciting so
This
they can
just looks
charge more.
like, second generation or third generation version because they had all these wacky markings on the side of the lightning clowns, right? And to me, this looks like somebody in the hobby happened to be going to PNG and drop one in the ocean, because it looks like it came from Matt Peterson's house, but maybe he would know better. So maybe there's something
I
cool
mean,
here in the pattern or something that I can't see for that's way more nuanced for that kind of a person that's in
for
it.
me, it's like the cool thing to me is if they really found it in the ocean, which we don't have any evidence that says they don't. Let's be clear about that. Let's be
Right.
fair. If they're finding them more frequently, again, like the fact that they found one doesn't mean they found. There's a very small chance that they found the only other one in the ocean. There's probably 100 of them out there that they happen to find one. Like it's a game of odds, right? The ocean is huge, so there's got to be more of these suckers out there. What else do the other ones look like? Maybe they'll collect more in time. And but again, like the lightning maroon clown, I think the first one sold for like 10 grand, and now I've seen them given away at frag swaps.
Yeah, I
So
know. Yeah, I mean they started out like that, and now it's like, yeah, that's kind of passe. But yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying because it's not quite the Carl Sagan thing because one does exist, so now we can move on and say maybe more in different ways. And we talked, I think, last week about the aberrant what was that, the
tang.
Moorish idol,
Yep, that's right. More title.
the aberrant Moorish idol. So anyway, I want to see if this pops up anywhere, and if any like big collector here in the U.S. or something offers up some coin for it, or if it just goes by the wayside.
If it doesn't go to China, I'm sorry, or like Asia, a lot of those guys really like these
Yeah,
rare stuff.
they
A
do.
lot of
They do.
the angels all go to Japan and Asia. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe it'll get
Yeah,
out
if
there.
that
Maybe they'll find
if
more of them.
yeah, if that was like the Thai symbol for peace, it would go for like $185,000 or something.
Someone out there is like, hmm, that's an
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, for sure.
Just imagine if you could get your favorite if you could breed clownfish in such a way that you have your favorite team's emblem on the fish, then you could blow those things. Then it'd have to be
Oh, I'm
licensed
sure the
NFL
Glowfish
official license
guys are
material.
working on that. Okay, I'm sure the Glowfish guys have already like got together with the NFL and pre-negotiated the rights for like a big like Chargers or Raiders on the side of a clownfish. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you can't blame them, right? Like they're being creative.
Oh, they're already doing that stuff, right? They're already injecting stuff into fish over there. They're, the koi, every time there's some koi with some special pattern on it, it goes for, huge money. So I could totally see it happening. But now if we can get a lightning, okay, frogfish, now we're talking.
I
Now
mean, some of those have pretty wild colorings naturally, but
they
yeah.
do. They do. But nobody
Um,
cares. But nobody cares. So what's next on the list here, buddy?
well, I mean, we're talking about stuff coming in from overseas.
Uh-huh.
We've got 10 people charged for illegal trafficking corals
Oh,
from the
yes.
Philippines, including some of these people. You're like, wait a
So
minute, do I know these guys? Some of these names seem like
if
they've
I
popped
wanted to
up
bore
before.
everybody, I actually went and did the research and got all of the indictments for every single one of these people so I could
Look
read
at you.
them. I know. It cost me a couple dollars, okay, to do it, but it was worthwhile because I just wanted to dig in and see. And yeah, I got all kinds of information. Let's start out with the beginning, which is in a broad sense of what happened here. So it's a long time ago. This is back in late 2017. Uh, some people, one person in particular to begin with, I believe, started contacting this individual in the Philippines who goes by his initials on most of the indictments, but in the original indictment has the full name. So that is available out there also to the public, and was trying to get them to basically saying, I can get these chalices and these acans and various other corals that are amazing, and don't you want to buy them? And so all of these particular people were like, cool, let's buy them. And uh, the people, most of them are Facebook sellers, right? So there's a couple of more there's I couldn't see, again, from what I know, any of these guys having like major stores that were doing this. Mostly online seller, or all online sellers that I could tell, and all of them kind of Facebook people except for one or two. And so they're like, yeah, I can get that, but I can't get the big ones. I can only get the small. I can only cut them up to smaller things, and then I can bring them in and I can hide them and stuff. And there's all of this stuff. And when you read the indictments, you'll see that they brought them in saying it was like toys or plastic purses or whatever. And so I don't know yet if they were hiding them inside there or not. But what's interesting is all of the indictments are more or less happened uh, in, I think it's April 21st of this year, which is just a week or so ago. But two of the indictments were earlier in the year, and one of them, the first one, was clear back in, I believe, in February. And that person already pleaded it out. And so that's already out there. And what's interesting, and I don't know this for a fact, so this is all speculation on my part because I downloaded a bunch of this stuff. I've only read some of it so far because I've been busy here in South Florida visiting people and everything. Is this particular individual who was bringing it into Alaska, and I think is the one that got caught in Alaska, okay, with this. The plea deal ended up like, I think, a year of probation and a $2,000 fine. So all I can, yeah, yeah, not even that. It's more like this, okay? And
Yeah.
all I'm thinking to myself is, here we are with this legislation that's coming in. They're going to get tough. They kill Hawaii. All of these things that they're doing to the hobby, right? They have a chance to get somebody red-handed doing, horrible things, right? And poaching stuff out of places and countries that they absolutely aren't supposed to do, with CITES and whatnot, and the Lacey Act itself, obviously. And then it finally comes to it, and they plead it out. So why would they plead it out? It's got to be one of these things where they either got the information on the other people, but then that's like small time people too, and what's going to end up happening with them, or they didn't feel that they had a strong case. I mean, how can that be? How can that possibly be that if you catch somebody bringing coral into the country, into their name, in items listed in the documents that are not the actual things that they're bringing in, and not hit them with everything you possibly can? So more research has to be done on this. I definitely, for the Reefing Report, am not stopping here because it's an interesting story. and I'm going to go and dig into all these indictments, dig into these people, find out a little bit more of that. Probably contact the the attorney that the U.S. attorney that put this forward up in Alaska, even, and just try to get some more information and see what's going on, because it certainly doesn't say, hey, we really care about this stuff, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I won't even go there. We won't put that out there. But yes, why would you not throw down on this one? You got that many people. Maybe they did. They just wanted the other information on the other people. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's certainly
yeah.
that's certainly part of it. And in that case, I mean, and I don't know why it would take so long too. We're talking 4.5 years ago. I mean, COVID was too. So I mean,
Well, isn't that some of that due process? You have to like get the information together. They have to have a case, and you have to book like go get the guy
sure.
and like all that. Like it just
I
takes, especially with the government, it doesn't move fast.
it's just I don't know. The whole thing just is weird to me. In the people who so called care about this stuff, and then this is how they treat it. It's for me, without getting too political. It's not unlike in California where they have you don't really, you get a real slap on the wrist if you steal somebody's bicycle up till $850. I mean, it's like you could like you can walk out of the store with stuff. There's people are going to just all this is going to do is somebody that looks at this is going to go, wow, that's it. Especially somebody if they're already a felon, right? They're like, dude, I'm already a felon. I'll take some more probation and a $2,000 fine and sell $28,000 worth of coral. Sign me up. Not me,
Sam
just to be clear.
Sam said it right. Yep, Sam said it right in the comments. Sam Nutley is saying there's no money in busting a small time guy, which is true. So if you're a big time guy and you kind of shady, you're maybe do exactly that and be like, oh well, maybe it's not that bad if I try this. It's documented on how it works. So
Yeah,
let's go give it a whirl.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. I don't know. I this whole thing, like I said, that's why I just started digging in and getting indictments and trying to see who some of these people, are. And I think other people, in the hobby who know who some of these people are, they should be outing them. They should make them pariahs in the hobby, because otherwise we're the ones who want to continue doing this and continue doing it the right way and not have legislation on our back and enjoy ourselves and enjoy our friends and everything else in the hobby. If these people are still allowed to be out there, in anonymity, so to speak, and not have to have this monkey attached to their back all the time, that's just not right. So anybody who sees this, who knows who any of these people are, you should out them on the forums, out them on groups or whatever. And again, they allegedly did these things. They do deserve their day in court. These people only have indictments under them. So right now they're just accused. And so I get that. But at some point, if somebody either accepts the plea and pleads guilty, or they get convicted of this, they have to be outed.
Absolutely. Clearwater Scrubbers is saying self-policing ourselves will help too, which is exactly what we're saying. Yep.
Exactly,
Out them.
100%.
If you hear of it, like even you don't have to wait for the indictment. If you hear about something, you know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I hear one of these Facebook things, like people message me all the time, like, "Hey, I'm from here. I can get you coral." I'm like,
yeah.
"Do you have a CITES?" And they're like, "Oh, we can get it in without it." They're like, "What?"
No,
I'm like,
worse yet, they go, a what?
"A what?" Okay, no.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
switch to, I will say legit, because I use their stuff. A company been around for a long time, doing good stuff.
Okay.
Hanna the water tester guys, which if you don't know, they actually do a lot beyond just saltwater
Okay.
aquariums and aquariums.
Mm-hmm.
They do like water testing, wine stuff as well. They are out with their long-awaited, 12 years in the making, apparently, magnesium checker.
Right. Hang on one second. Let's stop there. I'm gonna stop you for a second if I can. A couple of things. First of all, any of you, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in so that we can cover them. Definitely, we'll answer any questions that we possibly can. One other little break for the channel, the reefingreport.com is a website that you can go visit and find out this latest news and things that are coming up, the hottest stuff as Mark and I see it and curate it. And you can go out there. Big thanks to all of the people who support the channel already through Patreon. We appreciate that. There's also tips that you can put up there. And as far as questions and whatnot, we do have one coming through. I will get it on here temporarily. Let's get this bookmarks bar out of there, and let's go and get Sam had a comment says if the prosecutors aren't going to do anything to help to them, why go through the effort of outing them? It needs to be harder punishment for the crimes. What I'm talking about is not outing them in order that they can go somebody that that you think did this and outing them so that the prosecutors can go after them. I'm talking about somebody who's already been convicted of this, that they should not be allowed to still participate in the commerce and fly under the radar with everybody else in our business. We should not allow that to happen. Again, after they've been convicted and they should know better, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not a big fan of that. Somebody can plead their case that they didn't know or whatever it may be, but I definitely, I just think it's wrong. Now, if somebody's in that part of the hobby and they move over and start doing hardware or something like that, I might have a little bit different feeling for them, but certainly selling fish and corals and stuff, I think you're done. That's me.
And the biggest thing where I feel like I see that happening is hunting. Like if I knew, if I knew Terrence was a poacher, he was like, "Hey, dude, I just walked in someone's backyard and killed or whatever." Like I'm just using this as an example, right? I'd be like, "Dude, what are you doing? Don't do that." I might even call the wildlife agency on you. But in the saltwater aquarium world, it's like, "Oh yeah, he like got some stuff directly from a diver. Maybe it's legit, maybe it's not." But it's like, "Oh, cool. Can I get in on it too?"
Yeah, and even a more tighter version of your analogy is if I know my neighbor goes out and poaches ducks, right? And then 3 weeks later goes, "Hey, I hear you're going out on a deer hunt. You think I can come along?" I'd be like, "Hell to the no. There's no way." Okay? I know you've been poaching ducks. I don't want to be anywhere around you. You're a horrible person, okay? And that is exactly how this kind of stuff to me should be treated. Okay. So anyway, we got that stuff out of the way. Now we're back onto the checkers. There are new checkers, right?
There's two. Yep. So there's the magnesium one. We'll talk about that because in my mind that's relevant. There's a saltwater ammonia one, which let's say like magnesium. I'm going to say at some level
might have
we worry about, right?
Need.
Well, right. I mean, let's face it. And that's why I said a headline like, are reefers rejoicing or they're rolling their eyes? Like, I check my magnesium through my Neptune Systems Trident, and I should once a week, do a check with the NIOS magnesium test because that's the one I like, and just make sure it's accurate. And if anything, have another data set. I don't like magnesium. I'm like, if it's 1600, I'm okay with it, which to me is cool. In the description of the checker, it goes up to 1800. Some people would say that's not good, but a lot of people like that around higher mag. Other test kits would kick off like the NIOS one at over 1500. You're dead. You don't know where you are.
So, I have a few different things on this. First of all, as a standalone checker for a colorblind person, I think it's absolutely a cool thing, okay, to have a checker for anything that you're going to check on your aquarium. Now, when it comes to the cost of it and how often I'm going to need to do something, that's when things kick in. So when it comes to your magnesium, if you're a person who bolus doses or doses, not through an automatic type dosing machine, as needed once a month or once every 2 weeks or whatever it is, my feeling is that checking your magnesium is a very infrequent thing because you have an understanding of more or less how much gets consumed out of your tank fairly quickly, even with a regular test kit. And you know what you're putting into it, and the amount of time it takes to draw it down means that you're probably not going to need to check it, right? Except maybe every 6 months in reality, because you're bolus dosing, okay, Mark, you're going to be getting close. Oh yeah, you keep your magnesium at 1500 or 1450 or something like that. It's going to have not a whole lot of problem until you get down to 1300 or 1250, okay? And in order for you to get down that low, your bolus dose that you're normally doing is going to have to be way off, right? If it's only 10% off, it's going to take it a long time to get down and out of the crazy range. That's just the way it is. So it's not something I see that's necessary like that. Now, when you automatically dose things, if you're automatically dosing magnesium into your tank, let's say, 2-part, right? Or 3-part or whatever it is, that's where I'd want to have better knowledge of what's happening in case there's an acute situation with my dosing. Not so much that it's off, but that it's on. It's run away in some way, shape, or form, and you have a lot of it on standby. That's the only time I'd really want to see that. I see something like this as a borrow, both these ammonia and the magnesium one, as more of a borrow tool than it is even a regular one, or just use, if you're not colorblind, the regular magnesium test, because the reagents expire too.
So then my question is, why put it in the Trident?
So the reason you have it in the Trident is because the thought is that you're going to be automatically dosing things into your Trident, not necessarily off the results, but you're going to be doing things into your tank that are not directly under your control, like bolus dosing, right? And that way, if something starts to go awry, you can see it before it becomes really far out of control. So if you do have a clogged line, you'll see it start to drop out, right? And you'll start to see over time that you're dropping off way more than you might otherwise as your corals grow or what have you. If you see it start to go up, in a very significant amount in a day or two, then you know that something's going on with how your dosing is happening. Maybe it's a runaway, doser that you have on that. So anytime you have something that you're doing in an automated way, having something else that's telling you that it's working okay is what you really want to do when you have a reef tank. Whether it's an optical sensor, a float switch, or anything that you're doing, when you're doing it in an automated way, something else is telling you whether or not it's succeeding or failing.
Okay, I got it. That makes perfect sense. I completely agree.
I won.
What? Why does it have to be a battle, Terrence? It doesn't.
I'm just always too competitive. I know how it is, but
Yeah.
but I do like this though for people who are, like I said. I mean, if you're starting to maybe, I guess the halfway point on this is if you're kind of newer to the hobby and you're colorblind, right? And you're trying to establish what the usage rate of your magnesium really is. So you would be doing more tests up front, right? As you're adjusting the dosage and everything, that this might be the way to go because the checker itself is relatively inexpensive. You would go through the reagent rather fast, right? So you wouldn't expire on you. And it might make sense in that respect.
Yeah, I think going back to what you say about you're new in the hobby, I mean, Mr. Miyagi, I definitely remember that movie,
Yep.
wax on, wax off. I think there's some definite value in you're new to the hobby. Twice a week, you run nitrates, phosphates, alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium. Document it. You start to see how your tank is growing, then how those things get uptaken. So you have an idea about how that starts to go, but you only learn that because you waxed on, waxed off, and ran the test.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not so on that one.
I mean, I think that's neat and everything, but I think somebody, I mean, if they had the means, could start out with like a Neptune solution or some other solution that is more automated in the way that they're doing things, and that you don't, I mean, I drove here in the Mini Cooper, right? Nobody drives stick shift anymore. You drove the Mini Cooper, right? You don't need to drive a stick shift to understand that you can put the key in and put it in D, right? So I don't necessarily, you don't need to know how to like clean your spark plugs anymore, right? I mean, it's just not a thing. So there's an element of that, but I think we're past on a lot of these things. If you have the tools, you can probably skip quite a bit and skip the understanding part, as much as to the chagrin of all the old salts like you and others that have been doing this.
You're older than me, buddy.
No, I meant kind of in the saltwater world.
Now, I mean, and let's face it, the man who's been in the industry continuously, not the longest, but he's been on every facet of the industry, from the hobby side to the retail store side, now representing pumps, is sitting in the same building as you.
He's right over there.
Berlin is right over there. Like, I don't want to say no one has more background in the industry than him, but I would suggest no one has more diverse experience. There he is in the saltwater aquarium world than Steve Berlin, which, by the way, he should be on the Reefing Report. We should talk about this at some time. So
I'll
transmit
it to them. So what's your opinion, Steve? We'll get Steve's opinion real quick here, and I'll let you guys know. What we were just talking about. You were watching it over there, weren't you?
No, I'm not.
Oh, he wasn't paying attention.
He wasn't paying
on
attention.
Instagram.
I can't hear.
Oh, I thought you had
I thought
you had a bug.
He was on TikTok.
So he doesn't know.
I concur.
Well, I'm not going to repeat it and then make all of our viewers have to watch it all over again.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So Steve will leave a note on the stream and let you know after he watches it how he feels, for sure.
So I don't disagree that if you have some kind of automatic means, whether it be a Trident or any kind of other automatic checker or tester out there that reports results, that has value. But most people who come into the hobby are not buying one of those type checkers off
Right.
the bat.
It's
Type of
true.
thing.
No, there's no doubt. So
So
what is it? What do you guys think out there? Let's give your comments. Let's hear some feedback on this from you guys. The ammonia one, now that one to me is laughable, right? I mean, really?
I mean,
But where it isn't laughable, I'll get your feedback on this, is if you had an automated version of it. I know they tried this with the Senai and whatnot, but I think Ryan at BRS found it not to be super accurate or helpful. But he expressed to me once, because I had made the statement like, yeah, why do I care about ammonia after the fact? But maybe if it's really sensitive, right, in your tank, and you have some big die off or problem or coral or fish that dies or whatever, maybe knowing that information that you got an ammonia spike is important.
I can't remember the last time I've seen a fish die in my tank and I noticed any type of perimeter change other than me going, "Oh, I lost a fish." I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
I've had
because of
fish.
the proportion of fish to water that you have. But the guy who has a large, decent sized fish in a 120-gallon tank, it's different. I have seen it.
Okay, that's another story for another day.
So David says maybe it's good for a quarantine tank to have the Hanna ammonia checker. But my thing would be, don't they have those things, Mark, that you just stick on the tank that tells you that?
This, yeah, the CCAM thing, ammonia alert,
Right.
which is, I mean, for a quarantine tank, if I've yet to find an ammonia problem with that, I don't overstock quarantine tanks. I talked about that when I used to write my books. So that's, I'm not as concerned about it.
Right. Okay. Ryan Snodgrass says that 1 in 12 men are colorblind, 1 in 200 women. And then the immediate comment after that is they don't last, from David Trunks. I don't know if that means that colorblind people don't last or what.
Last. All right. Technical challenge here. My camera's about to run out of battery. So, Terrence, I'm going to let you
All right.
segue.
All right.
You got to talk. Well, it was my story. So, with that, let's take a couple questions while I plug in the camera, and then I'll
Yeah,
come
give me a
back because I
question.
talked about the
I'll go
carbon
back and
dosing ceramic walls.
I'll try to find a couple. You get it taken care of, okay?
Okay.
So Jeffrey here says that he pre-ordered the mag checker and then ordered a Trident, and now rethinking my mag checker pre-order. So yeah, I personally, Jeffrey, I think the mag checker, if you know how to read a regular magnesium test kit, unless you just like the geekiness of it, I think it's overkill, especially if you have the Trident that's coming on. Mike Spencer actually agreed with me. He says auto water changes. Not sure the last time I checked the magnesium. One interesting thing, and a plug for Real Reefing, because I've got an upcoming video with Mark Levinson, name drop to him, that we talked about potassium, though. So that's one. If Hanna Checker came out with potassium checker, a potassium checker would be the one that I absolutely would buy in an instant. If they could make such a thing that was a one step, I would even say two-step potassium checker, that would be 100% the thing I'd buy, no doubt. Mark, are you there?
I hope Hannah is listening, because that would I would definitely be all about that as
Well,
well.
the first time I heard a lot of people talking to Hanna about a magnesium checker was 2010. So that was 12 years ago. So I don't know that I want to wait 12 years for a potassium checker. Maybe somebody else will have one. But if anybody's ever checked their potassium with one of the test kits, it's a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare. Get an ICP, get 2 ICPs, and then you'll have your potassium. That's the best way to do it. Wouldn't you say, Mark?
Or dose potassium and not really care, because the range of error on that is huge.
Yes.
Talked about it in one of my online classes a couple years ago. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day.
Well, it's okay.
But
We got a few
speak,
minutes. No,
well,
stop for a minute.
you gotta.
Potassium. Go ahead. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. I won't be the normal
I mean,
interrupting guy. Go ahead.
you were just talking about something 12 years ago. Let's say carbon dosing, because I just did an
Hmm.
interview with Dr. Tim. Carbon dosing is liquid carbon dosing. Solid carbon dosing is
It's
kind of a
pellets.
misnomer there. Pellets, bio pellets.
Hmm.
Sarah has come out with basically they're like ceramic media that has carbon like infused in it. It's not the right word. It's kind of like built in it. That looks pretty jazzy. So it's like a bio ball, but it has bio pellet stuff mixed in, which is like I got to give it to him. On one hand, it's like, wow, I wouldn't have thought of that. I'm not saying it's necessarily
Hmm.
good, but it's like, oh, you've thought of that, and it looks pretty cool too. Like, I mean, that could be Christmas ornaments if nothing else.
So this is 2022's bio balls. Is that what this is?
I mean, in carbon, again, I'm using carbon
With a
dosing.
carbon add-on.
Right. Bio pellets they got popular about 10-ish years ago. I remember seeing them at Macna and Des Moines, and then
Sure.
it fell off.
Right.
So now I mean, I use them on the tank behind me. I love the things. So this
Really?
is a neat way to, yes.
Okay, stop a second. I'm going to ask you a couple questions in
Oh, here we go.
about biopellets. Okay, so you like biopellets. How do you control the amount of biopellets to use? When to put more in? How does the whole thing even work? Right? If I have 3 times as many biopellets as you do per water, I've never been able to get out of anybody, because anybody in a manufacturer I've asked, you said, just put these in, make sure that the water flows through and that they tumble and that you've got good skimming. How much do you need? Oh, 3 or 4,
Oh,
So,
Terrence, I just love it when you set me up like this, buddy. In so many ways, it's too great. And
okay.
now we have nearly 100 people on the stream. Which thanks for joining us for the really really juicy part when
Yeah,
it's like he
let's
like
get it over
throws me
100 people.
the best Tom Brady pass ever to like win the Super Bowl. Anyway,
So
so
2010 called, Mark, and they want their biopellets back. And so how do you do it?
oh, first of all, let me just say I covered this, or I'm going to cover it. We've been talking about nutrient control, and we're starting to talk about carbon dosing over at saltwateraquarium.com on my nutrients channel or in the nutrients series. So that being said, how do you do it? Here's a precursor because we haven't quite done that show yet. How do you dial these things in? You do what we just got done talking about, which is test your tank. I'm big on your tank telling you what it needs. So, how do you do it? You look at the recommended instructions and you go, let's just say it says use 100 grams of pellets per 100 gallons. Okay,
Mm.
so this little bottle here this is 100 grams of pellets. Okay, I've got,
And you trust them that they've done some really good tests on how much to use or
no,
how not to use. Okay, go ahead.
no.
Go
You do
ahead.
what Dr. Knight and I recommend on anything, including his stuff, is you start with half. Start with
Okay.
half of the recommended dose and then test your tank and see what happens. Now, with bio pellets and even liquid carbon dosing, like the Red Sea, NOPOC stuff, you got to grow the bacteria. So in this case, it's not like dosing calcium and the next day you can go test your calcium. You
Okay.
got to dose the bacteria, add the bio pellets, and then give it a couple weeks and see what happens. See what happens with your nitrates, see what happens with your phosphates. What's likely going to happen when you start with half of the recommended dose is not much. You want to see something, but if you just want to see a little bit, like we like to have our reef tanks kind of go like this. You don't want this, right? No one likes this. So
I,
you
okay, go on, go on.
Terrence is like he's like just killing him. He wants to jump in. So you start with some, you see what happens, and then you're like, oh, okay, so this didn't do much. So then you add more, and then you add until you get to the point where you want it to be. Now, here's the thing. Back in the day, people did what you did. They're like, how much do I need to put in? It might have been 400 milliliters. So they dumped it all in. Then what can happen is that your nutrients tank like ultra low nutrients, not talking low, like ultra low,
Yeah.
no
Mm-hmm.
nitrates, no phosphates. Then people
Mm-hmm.
said it bleached out their corals. So in my tank, I added bio pellets and I added some, and then my nitrates, phosphates started to come down. And I added them until I got to where I wanted my nitrates and phosphates, which were about 5 and about zero point 0.1. Then I stopped
Okay.
adding bio pellets. Now I'm going to have to add more in because the carbon gets used up in time. But I added it. I watched my tank test results, and I knew where I wanted my tank to be, and then I stopped there.
Okay, so I heard all of that. Okay,
Terrence is like,
and yet there is still some less than objective criteria that you're claiming here, which is I stick these things in, and then I wait till things get good.
no, you wait till you get where you want them to be.
Okay, so and how do you not overshoot or undershoot, or how long does it take until I know? And how long do I wait until I go, oh, it's not working, I should add more. Oh, wait, it's working too good. Now I need to take some out. It's so imperfect. And oh, which bacteria? And this bacteria. Oh, and that bacteria doesn't work in my tank, but this bacteria does work. It seems so imperfect, and it seems not it just doesn't seem a direct way of do this and this happens. If I take lanthanum chloride, right? So I can take lanthanum chloride, put it in the tank at a certain amount, measure, and exactly know in this amount of time, this is how much should come out of there. And if I double it, this much more should come out of there. And it's very scientific. Bio-pellets seems like it's just, yeah, you put this stuff on there. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's still dropping. It's still dropping. It's still dropping. Yeah. I just don't see the. I run them too, by the way. So it's not like I haven't tried them.
It's the difference between chemistry. It's the difference between chemistry and biology.
Okay.
Terrence is like, I'm not sold on that at all.
Certain things happen in biology. The little girl rabbit comes to the little boy rabbit, and these two things come together, and then you have little baby rabbits. Okay, and to keep them apart if you don't want more rabbits.
But that doesn't mean you get 6 rabbits every time. You might get 8, and you might get 1 in a bad rabbit mating. Like, it's biology. It's not a chemical reaction where you can balance it and how much. If you put in this much over here, you're going to get that much out over there.
I just don't think it's a way to go. I just don't think it's a way to go, especially for a new hobbyist. Especially for a new hobbyist.
You're not. If you're the new hobbyist, you shouldn't have a nitrate phosphate problem. You want to do this.
So let's go back. So if it's not for a new hobbyist, why is Sarah selling it? Okay.
Well,
that's a new hobbyist brand.
A company isn't allowed to sell an entry-level product for new hobbyists and more in advanced products.
Not this brand. This brand to me is synonymous with retail and synonymous with new hobbyists buying something at Walmart. Okay, that's how I think of this brand. Whether or not it's accurate or not, that's how I see the brand.
So what about Sicce? If they came out with their own bio balls, would you say the same thing? Because they have stuff all over the board.
No, Walmart. I would expect it because of the brand, because the Sicce brand in general has a different brand identity, and I would expect that they had done more with it. And whether I'm correct or not, I'm just telling you that's how I would look at the brand. It's a more advanced brand for a more advanced reef keeper than Sarah. But
you don't know that if you're a newbie and you walk into Walmart or Petco and you see Sicce.
Sure, that's true. No, that's absolutely true. No, I know it's sold there and all that too. Yes, I get it. Bio balls. Okay, so how about you guys out there? Are you going to try bio balls from Sarah?
No, it's a
I mean,
bio
it looks like I'm never going to ever have a job from Sarah now. That's for sure. But what I will say about Sarah, though, on the positive, is at Interzoo, they had my heart for their branding. Okay, they had the most yellow booth I had ever seen. They went all in everywhere on their branding. It was amazing, and kudos to them for that, because you could not think it was anybody but Sarah at Interzoo. Oh, what do we got here? See? Here, this is just brought to me. This is cichlid food.
Pellets.
Brand new green.
Pellets.
Yes.
The thing, we're back
for
to
the advanced hobbyist.
Pellets.
For the advanced hobbyist. Yes. What? Is this supposed to be the fish that you have in there that's ugly? Is that the...
Oh, so mean. You're saying that to someone who did a favor for you? Oh.
He's got these brown fish over here in brown rocks.
That's because it's freshwater tank. It's a freshwater tank. It's boring. Like, there's nothing exciting about freshwater. Sorry.
Oh man.
Okay.
Anyway,
With the,
so we
there you
hit
go.
100 people, okay, at least through the stream. So that's good. There's that positivity with all of that nonsense that we put together. So, do we have any other questions out there or things we need to cover, Mark? My buddy Dave
No, I
Anderson
mean,
says rabbits LOL. So, at least Dave's watching.
wait, Dave Anderson, who has what, 6 kids? Hello?
It's not 6. He met the quota. He has 4.
4 rabbits. Yes,
That's the
Dave.
Utah quota.
Rabbits. That's the Utah quota. Does Jerry Orrin have 4 kids? I guess he does, doesn't he?
Does Jerry have 4? Does he have 3 or
I think
4?
he has 4. He's got
4
at
is
least
the
3.
quota. Okay, I know.
I think he's got
live
4.
there. Yeah, you're fighting to hit that quota. Once you hit the quota, you exhale in Utah.
Is that why you left? Because you're like, I'm never going to hit quota. I'm not going to do it, so I'm out. Okay.
That wasn't on me.
With that, bro for bro.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. With that, let's wrap it up, Terrence. That
Yes.
was a lot of that was a lot of fun. We got 100 people in the stream. Thanks for being here with us, everyone.
Yes, and Mark, thank
you
you for bringing the energy. I don't know what it is you downed before the show, but you met the challenge from the people last time and said, "Where was Mark?" Terrence is carrying the whole show. I know Terrence likes to talk, but we want to hear from Mark, and you did really well this time, and I did well not interrupting you.
I gotta say, when you spend your day on the boat on the lake with your wife in a bikini, it's a good day.
Oh, okay. Alrighty then.
Terrence is like,
all right.
Is that going to be on your Instagram later?
So there you go. So Mark is working on the quota, and
nope, no, factory's been shut down and condemned. No.
All right. Well, I think that's what we got to end on. I will give some reminders here to people. You can check out Mark Callahan over with the saltwateraquarium.com channel, where he puts on all kinds of content for them. He's got some new stuff coming out. Won't tell me what he shot footage of at RAP, but I'm sure that RAP video is about ready to hit, right?
It's been hitting all week, Terrence.
Has it?
Okay.
Oh, good. So he has edited it up. And myself, we've got another video that we're dropping for Real Reefing out on YouTube. And you can also help us out on Instagram at real.reefing. Day 2, Mark, of our trip as we went over to Atlanta. We met with Derek Picker at Reef Automation at his house. But before that, I actually had a breakdown of the RV, and it's on the video. So look for that. I'm going to post it up tonight or tomorrow morning, one of the two. It's ready to go, more or less. And yeah. That's what we're doing.
All right. With that, thanks everyone for being here. We'll be back next Sunday to cover the relevant headlines.
I'll be home.
The eyes of Terrence.
I'll be home with my tank.
Home.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, that's Mother's Day.
So
it's Mother's Day. All you male reefers out there going to be able to be on the stream?
I was going to say, are we going to get in trouble? Let's ask a last minute question. If you're watching a Real Reefing stream on Mother's Day, is that going to get you in trouble? We got to hold on to the stream for another couple of minutes here so people can chime in.
Let's get some feedback on that, guys.
Is that going to get you in trouble if you're watching?
In the meantime, I will turn this way. I'll turn this way to Nancy. Oh, Nancy says that if you are ball and chain too much, Mark, she'll go with whatever your wife will do. Okay?
Dude, my wife doesn't care.
Nancy says she doesn't care. We can go on from our end. So how about you guys? Okay.
Colt G says moved to Monday night.
Oh, come on
Reef
now,
says
Colt.
It'll be fine.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be fine. No problem. Christopher Martin says, I don't know. Are there even any ladies that watch our stream other than Reef Girl?
Reef Girl. No,
sorry, Reef Girl.
Come on, buddy.
Okay, Reef Girl. She's not on tonight because I haven't seen a single comment, so she must be doing something else.
Why we love everyone to be on the stream. If you would get in trouble at Mother's Day for watching the Real Reefing stream, we'll give you a pass this time. You can watch the replay on our YouTube channel right after it's over. It's up there. You can watch it the next day. Maybe you need to spend the whole day with her. We get it. It's okay. Watch it the next day. Don't get in trouble because the tank might come up in that conversation about getting in trouble. So it'll be there afterwards, but we would love to see you live if you can make it.
Yep.
It doesn't look like we need to change it.
Ease Reef says Mother's Day celebrations are over by 7 p.m. Okay. Billy D is in. Paul Chaderjian, okay, probably messed that up, but he's either been married just a short time or a long, long time. One of the two. It can be either. Just watch and ask for forgiveness later. So it's one or the
I mean,
other.
you have Nancy writing all these names down, so next week she can be like, "Oh, he's
Yeah.
here. Oh, he's not here.
Yes. Yeah,
Hmm."
we'll do roll call. She's a teacher. She'll do roll call. Like everybody has to like shout out that they weren't ball and chain down, couldn't watch the show. Anyway, that's it. We got to
All right,
go.
we
And
got to roll. Thanks, everyone.
thanks everyone for coming, and we'll see you next week, hopefully.